We are in the midst of dry January. During this time, from January 1st to January 31st, people make the decision to abstain from alcohol. And they do this for a variety of reasons. Maybe they want to dry out after partying a bit too hard during New Year's. Maybe they want to start off the year on the right foot. Maybe this is the first in many baby steps to them giving up alcohol completely. In any event, I thought it would be a good time to talk about the Buddhist view on alcohol consumption. What is it and why do we hold this belief? And put simply, we as Buddhists are encouraged, though not required, to abstain from the consumption of alcohol. What this looks like in practice is that if we go to a Buddhist temple, we'll be offered beverages, tea, water, coffee. Beer or wine, however, will not be on the menu. And there's a couple of reasons for this. The main one being that alcohol consumption in any amount impedes our spiritual practice. As Buddhists, our goal is to end suffering for ourselves and others. We do this primarily through training our body, speech, and mind so that we engage in action, so we use words, so we have thoughts that remove suffering from the lives of others instead of causing it. When we consume alcohol, we cloud our minds and we lower our inhibitions. Thus, it becomes harder to control the words that come out of our mouths. It becomes harder to control the actions we do with our bodies. And we are more influenced by the thoughts that come into our minds. So maybe we have a memory of someone who caused us harm in the past. And if we're sober, well, it's an unpleasant thought, but we're able to take a few breaths and move on from it. But if we're drunk and we have that same thought, the anger wells up within us. This is called being an angry drunk. And if that person is present, we might take out our frustration on them. If they're not present, well, the anger still is. And in our drunken state, we take out our anger on whoever might be around us. By refraining from consuming alcohol, we avoid this problem altogether. The same problem occurs with our speech. I've met many people in my life, myself included, when I still drank, who said things while they were drinking that we regretted. I've never met anyone, however, who said, I was way too sober last night and I said some things that I shouldn't. Thus, we are more in control of our mind and our speech when we are sober. For this reason, we as Buddhists refrain from drinking alcohol. But what does this have to do with our body? Well, as Buddhists, we are required to care for our body by eating good food, getting exercise, plenty of rest. Why? Because our body is the vehicle through which we practice the Dharma. If our body is unhealthy, we can't practice the Dharma. If we can't practice the Dharma, we can't realize enlightenment and end suffering for ourselves and others. So we care for our body so that we can practice the Dharma in the same way that one might care for their car so that they can get to the work. When we drink alcohol, we harm our body in a number of ways. First off, our resting heart rate is elevated, so we're unable to get good sleep. In addition to that, drinking alcohol tends to dehydrate us. This is what happens when we get a hangover. We're dehydrated, we don't feel good. And anyone who knows what it's like to go to work when they have a hangover can only imagine what it would be like to try and meditate or chant or study sutras when you have a pounding headache from the vodka shots you did the night before. I personally have had experience with this. Back when I drank alcohol, what I tried to do was to go out with my friends and party on Friday. Then on Saturday, in theory, I would try and wake up and go to the temple to meditate. What I found, however, time and time again, is that I would drink on Friday, I would sleep in on Saturday, and I would miss the morning meditation. So it became clear I could drink or I could practice Buddhism, but I couldn't do both. So I stopped drinking, and I've been practicing the Dharma ever since. Now, does that mean that it's completely impossible to have a beer every now and then and still practice Buddhism? No, of course not. Like I said, we are encouraged to abstain from alcohol, but it's not required. No one's going to come into your house and check to see what's in your refrigerator. However, it is clear that if we want to get the most out of our practice, abstaining from alcohol is one way to ensure we're not inhibiting the work we're trying to do. In the same way that an athlete might refrain from alcohol to ensure that they have the best physical performance when they go out on the field, we as Buddhists abstain from alcohol so that we can have the best spiritual performance both in the temple and in our daily lives. In this way, by staying sober, we make it easier for us to end suffering not only for ourselves, but for all sentient beings. Amitabha.